Hello, thank you for joining me for another episode of Total Ramblings. We have another unboxing today. Now, I'm not going to go into the story about how bad my local B&M stores are, but this is another one of those B&M exclusives, albeit from a few months ago. That has not been in store in either of my B&Ms until yesterday, when I had a tip-off that there were quite a lot of these finally in stock. And behold, there were. I went to B&M today in Basingstoke, the one near Morrison's, and they had about maybe a dozen of these on the shelf. It is from Remembrance of the Daleks, 1988. It's I suppose it's part of the History of the Daleks series with our exclusive sets to B&M, although this one's not entitled History of the Daleks. It's entitled Emperor Davros collector figure from a 7th Doctor story, part of the 5.5" / 14 centimetre scale collector series featuring 1x Emperor Davros. There is the top of the box. Obviously, these are made by character. There is the side of the box. And if you can't get them at B&M, they usually go for about twice the price on eBay. There's the other side of the box. Retail price was £12.99. There's the bottom of the box. And I'm quite glad that I've waited because I already have this figure from a release years and years ago. But this is the more up-to-date one. And I do kind of resent paying double the price on eBay. So it seems that my B&M, the one near Morrison's, eventually does get these sets, albeit after a few months. There's another Dalek set out and a set of figures out as well, I think. And also the Dalek set that's currently out has a variant. So I guess I'll just wait a few months for those to turn up. Now then, I'm going to read you the blurb on the back because I dispute it. I do. Emperor Davros collector figure. Davros is the creator of the Doctor's deadliest enemies, the Daleks. He is a genius who has mastered many areas of science but has been gravely injured by the genetic weapons used in the 1,000-year war on his own planet Skaro. Partially mutated. This is where I have a problem. Partially mutated with one functioning hand, a cybernetic eye mounted on his forehead and dependent completely upon a self-designed mobile life support chair in place of his lower body. I dispute that Davros is partially mutated. Number one, it is well known that the Khaleds and the Thals exiled their mutoids to the wastelands of Skaro. Number two, Davros was blown up in a Thal attack. This was well known even before the Big Finish series I, Davros. And his injuries are solely as a result of that and possibly old age because he has extended his life. I'm just going to slice this while I'm wittering on. And I dispute that he is partially mutated because they would have exiled him, I believe. So I'm going to argue that point. Anyway, this mobile chair would become an obvious inspiration for his eventual design of the Daleks. His voice is electronically distorted with a generally soft and contemplative manner. However, when angered or excited, Davros is prone to ranting outbursts. Yes. The Daleks, unable to see themselves as anything other than supreme beings, turn on Davros, seeing him as less than them, damaged and impure. Learning from the Doctor that there is a universe of infinite size out there, his visions expand, as do those of his evil creations. The Doctor and Davros encounter each other on many occasions and in many times. Just as the Doctor regenerates and changes, Davros seems to change often, ever evolving towards becoming a fully formed Dalek. On Earth in 1963, the 7th Doctor comes face to face with this Emperor version of Davros via a transmat interface. Taunting Davros into using a banned Time Lord Stellar manipulator, the Doctor watches on with amusement as it disobeys him and instead turns the Dalek's own sun supernova and vaporizes their home planet. It then returns to Davros and annihilates his command ship. There you go. Spoiler warning, by the way, for a story that's nearly 40 years old. 40 years old. I watched this story live. 40 years. Jeez, where's the time going? Anyway, we're going to open the box. Open the box! Open the box! Do you want a blow on the head? Or open the box? Right, I'm going to open this box. and pull that out. And that part of the box, ladies and jelly spoons, is empty. Goodbye box. Now, we actually have a bit of a backdrop on this one. I thought they'd completely stopped doing these, but it seems that they have not. So I'm just going to slice off this tape. I will be throwing it anyway, but I just thought I'd try and show you what I can before I do so. I don't keep packaging. Very, very exceptional circumstances, I might keep some packaging for a brief moment of time, because what we have here, the backdrop, is from the bridge of the Daleks' ship. Image copyright Adam Taylor 2024. So does that mean it's a CGI render or an illustration that he's done, or a copy? So I'm guessing that means it's not from the actual series. So there's a fantastic scene where there's a single Dalek on the bridge just kind of talking to itself, doing operations, and then more of the Imperial Daleks appear. And then we have the famous Emperor on the bridge kind of scene where the Emperor Dalek turns up, and at the time we don't know that it's Davros. It is unfortunate, if you wanted to use this backdrop, that you have to rip it to pieces in order to actually get the figure out. I'm sure there's probably a better way of doing that. As the Doctor would say in Warriors of the Deep, there should have been another way. Anyway, that's gone away. There we go. Now, to start with, as I say, in Remembrance of the Daleks, so we don't know that it's Davros in here. It's actually quite weighty. It's only in episode 4 that we see that it is Davros. So we have the usual Dalek wheels. This one is rotational. These two just wheel along. It is actually, I think it's weightier than the other one I've got. But inside, we basically have Davros, who at this point is just kind of really a head and a torso. Oh, look at that. I don't think his head turns. Hang on a sec. His head, ladies and jelly spoons, does not turn. It is fixed. Now, it looks like it should turn, but I'm afraid of breaking these things on his head, and that won't turn. His head has no articulation. It's quite a nice head, though. We've got the microphone here. We've got all the cranial sort of implants, and his eye, because these are just sockets, really. This pipe work and sort of organic kind of circuitry. But to start with, oops, that's not good. To start with, this is how the Emperor / Davros appears. Now look, that doesn't quite close. Look at that. It looks like a Muppet's mouth. That doesn't quite close, and it easily pops off. The only way you can get that to appear closed is by taking it off. There's got to be a way. Let me try again. There we go. There we go. Now it's closed. It's properly on. I think it just needed reseating a little bit. You'll notice I was trying quite hard to close it and it kept popping off. Anyway, for the start of the story, the Emperor Dalek looks like this. Now, the original Emperor Dalek that we see was in the Dalek comic strips from the 1960s. And it was basically a Dalek with the usual appendages, but a massive gold dome for a head and kind of lights like a crown. So this is clearly kind of inspired by that. But then as we see in episode 4 of Remembrance of the Daleks, inside is Davros. He is turning into a Dalek. Although later episodes show him looking a bit more humanoid again and kind of back in his chair. Look, you see, look, if you pop that back in, it doesn't close. So you can either have it kind of popped on, or yeah, there's a gap there. You see, when that's popped onto those hinges properly, it won't close. But if you unseat it ever so slightly, I think it's got a bit warped. You can see there it does close. That is, I mean, that's okay. I can live with that. But just pointing out, you can just about see through here. You can see Davros. in the episode, the story, sorry, these lit up, and this just kind of reflected in the light as the Emperor was kind of talking, and I don't know if it was actually see-through on the prop, but then Davros appears. And as I say, that head, the head is not for turning, ladles and jelly spoons. The head is not for turning. So there we go. Davros leads the Imperial Dalek faction in this particular story, and the Imperial Dalek faction is faced off by the Renegade Dalek faction, who look a little bit, but not exactly like this. That's the same kind of colour scheme, but these are from a different story. Yeah, anyway, that's why these Daleks have this particular colour scheme, because they are new breed of Daleks loyal to Davros. Like the Roman Empire, the Dalek Empire kind of ends up fighting amongst itself a lot of the time. I'm going to clip that back in there. Yeah, it's definitely not me imagining this. It's like, I think it's like this curves away from this, and when you try and force it on, it pops off. Hey ho. Does it matter? Probably not. Anyway, yeah, just a quick unboxing today. Thank you so much for joining me for this episode of Total Ramblings. Please remember to hit like, subscribe, comment, share, blah-de-blah-de-blah-de-blah, all the usual YouTube stuff. I'll see you in the next Total Ramblings video, whatever the topic might be. Goodbye.